So, welcome to Vedisha, the platform for celebrating women led development in architecture, art, design, engineering, and construction. Ved is about documenting the progression of women in design. 2022 is the seventh year of Vedisha and fifth year of Vedisha Awards to happen in New Delhi from 2nd to 4th of September 2022. As Vedisha is celebrating International Women's Day today, our second speaker of the day, architect Gita Balakrishnan. Well, she doesn't need any introduction, yet I will just tell you a brief, and after that, I will leave it to Architect Balakrishnan to share about her journey. So, Architect Gita Balakrishnan, founder of Ethos, which she started in 2002. Her sole calling was to get into a field with which, it might be a little unconventional, but should be able to create a lot of possibilities. She says, I like to build stories, minds, and ideas. Recipient of the Vedasia Women in Design, Architecture, Art, Construction in Special Contribution Award. Geeta has embarked upon a 1,700-kilometer walk from Kolkata to Delhi to spread awareness on how good design can play a great role in changing lives. Wow. Ethos Foundation, in collaboration with the Council of Architecture and the Indian Institute of Architects, has conceptualized the Work for Cause campaign. Let us hear more from Architect Gita Balakrishnan about this thought came to her, and how has been the experience so far. So, welcome to you again on Vedesha and Services Reporters platform. It is always so nice to meet you. And today we are here to know and understand how the cause, for working and spreading the impact of good design is, going on. And where are you right now? How has been the journey so far, and so on. Over to
Thanks, Vertica. I still remember the day, I think 5 years ago, when you spoke to me before the Vedasia platform actually took off, and it's been a pleasure associating with you year after year. Yes, and you look very fresh from wherever you are, and you can see how tired I look today. It has been a fairly exhausting day. I have completed about 30 kilometers today as well, 29.56 or 59 or something like that. I am in Gadwa as we speak. Gadwa is a district and a small town in Jharkhand. And it's actually one of the larger towns of Jharkhand, but still not many people know about it. I didn't, at least, until I got here. And I walked from where I am today, where I am right now, to a place called Sri Bansidhar Nagar, which is on the border of Jharkhand. And how we do this is I walk however much my feet take me. It's roughly around between 28 to 35 kilometers in a day. 35 is extremely on the outer side. I try to keep it closer to 30 because doing it day after day is not easy. And when I get to that point, I have a team that goes with me. There is Mahindra has been kind enough to give us a car, and there's a TVS. TVS has given us a bike. So there's a team of four, a crew of four that accompany me, two managing the logistics and one photographer and videographer who are the people who are responsible for all the content that you're seeing on social media. And we get to that point, and then once that's done, we either drive backwards or forwards or right where we are to get to our accommodation. Next morning, we get to that point again and get started. So tomorrow morning, we'll be driving 35 odd kilometers from where I am, and starting our walk at about 5:30. We leave our place of stay at around 5 right now. I think as the heat gets more difficult to bear, we may have to leave earlier than 5. It's already past 9:30. I'm feeling the effects of the heat already. And yes, along the way, there are interactions that happen. I try and keep them preferably during the break. I take a break at after 3 hours when I'm having my breakfast. So I try and find a spot where there are people where I can lay down my mat. And the minute I put out my mat, there is some excitement around. They don't usually see someone dressed like me, with a bandana. And so there are a lot of raised eyebrows already. And so we put out our mat, and then I have to, even if I'm stopping for half an hour, I need to stretch because if I start the walk again, certain parts of the body can start giving me trouble if I don't take care on those fronts. So I'm actually sitting on the floor, and suppose we're at a tea stall, there are still people around me. So conversations begin. Or I keep the conversations to the end of the walk, where they're planned and a little more curated. Like the ones at the end of the walk would be either visit to a school or an NGO or a Mahila Mandal or a Panchayat office or something like that. So that's how it's been so far, and that's how I'm finding it more comfortable curating the daily journey. Um, so on why I'm doing this, many people when I started off felt I was a little off my rocker when I told them this. I've got messages where people have told me, "Oh, one hell of a crazy woman, what are you trying to do?" And others may have thought in their hearts that, is she really going to go through with it? And I think there are friends of mine who actually jumped into helping me wholeheartedly and fully only about 2 weeks before the event, because until then they thought that it'll probably be called off. They weren't so sure, but once they got in, they've really, I mean, there are so many people who've come forward and helped in many different ways to make this happen, and I'm really grateful for that universe of friends and well-wishers who even today, like, there are days when I do feel a little down or feel worried about something, and I know some of them are just a phone call away who help me. So yes, so about 4 years ago, I saw an article about Sunil Dutt walking with Priya Dutt from Mumbai to Amritsar, and that kind of got me thinking. I started having images in my mind of you know what they would have seen along the way and what they would have experienced, and how that whole countryside would have opened itself to them, and what people would have been like. And since then I've been thinking about it. I mean, it's something that I would think on what should, I mean, something that I could have got off and done it just as me. But if I was doing it, I felt some good should come out of it also. Not realizing the magnitude of what I was doing initially, I was thinking it could be a bunch of students who walked, cycled with me, and we just went along and documented the landscape and things like that. But as I started reading and learning more, I realized it has to be a solitary journey. Having too many people would have meant managing a lot of other people, and their I know what the problems I'm having, and if there are multiple people, then managing their problems would have also become part of the process and may have affected my journey as well. So I realized it, and also I felt that I needed this to be a solitary journey for various reasons. I needed to engage with myself at different levels as well. So that's how it started. And you've been following Ethos, and you know that we've been working with young architects, with students. We've been studying, looking at awareness and people. We've been talking to common people as well as part of our work. But the more we got looking deeply, we found that um, we we know each other's work. I mean, I hope many of us know each other's work, at least within the fraternity. But outside the fraternity, there seems to be little awareness. There doesn't seem to be enough. Our profession is coming to be seen as an elite profession, and only people in cities kind of take it up, while the whole of India is yet to be explored. We are sitting on the cusp of so much more construction to happen. And I just felt that if we as a community kind of explored this, rallied together, we can probably make an impact on how that development should be. We've done a lot of mindless stuff in some of our towns and cities already. But if we could really visit what is happening along the way and see how contextual and how localized and regionalized development can happen, and probably involve people in that process as well, is something I thought. Secondly, not enough people know about our field. I'm walking around, when I ask people, there's not been one person who said, "Acha." Yeah, there has been one person or two people who know. When I ask them who makes the building plan, and they say, "हाँ ठीक है, architect." But largely it's been Rajmistri banata hai, contractor banata hai, engineer banata hai. The word architect is kind of completely alien. And I think the reason for that is also we've not been seen out there enough. Our work has not been showcased enough, has not been marketed enough. And why does it need to be done? I think simply because we can bring value to their lives. if we got out there. I know if we look at it as a commercial intent, that you want it to be a project that you can take on, it may not really work, because not too many of these people can afford an architect. And not just that, I think it's not a priority for them. Even if they can afford it, they're looking at other priorities which need to be satisfied. So if we can help solve some of their problems, and because of which we are also, as I work, I'm also carrying a traveling exhibition of sorts. There are banners that I carry, there are flashcards that I carry. We carry a tab through which I can show them different pictures and images of things. So when I stop at a chai shop, I just put out a little booklet that I'm carrying and allow them to flip the pages, ask me questions, I ask them questions. I go to schools and talk to kids on design as a career. And in this entire journey of 23 days, tomorrow it'll be the 24th day, I haven't had one kid in these regions coming in saying they want to be an architect. It's also because they're not exposed to the field. And I think I don't think it is a matter of alarm, again, because it seems as if, again, people in and around those cities are the ones that are coming forward to become architects. But in my work with Ethos, I have seen many coming from remote places. So I'm not as disheartened, but I think there's a lot more that needs to be done. People from these areas, students, youngsters from these areas, if they became designers and went back and gave back, or worked in their respective locations, I think they would be able to respond to their context and their problems and their lifestyles and way of living so much more than some of us from outside who could go and do it. So hence it's important. And I was just, every day I have these calls with different people and try and mull over what I'm thinking and what I have seen. And we just realized, I was talking to this architect, SP Agarwal, who's an 80-year-old in Daltonganj. He's the only architect. He's actually an engineer by education, but since he was pre-1972, before the Architects Act came in, he is part of he's registered with the council, and a very amazing old man, very young at heart. And we were discussing, and we realized that Jharkhand probably has only one college of offering architecture as a state. Now, you would also know that many of us usually may not send our children outside our state for education. So then if there is only one college of architecture, it's likely that there will be only so many architects in this state as well. So yeah, so those were things. And I have had the fortune of meeting some very, very bright youngsters, which gives me hope. I was sharing even with somebody else the other day. There was this young girl called Sumari. She's from the Oraon community in Jharkhand, and we were at an NGO thanks to IIA Jharkhand, and Asha, the NGO, is in Ranchi. And I asked her, what does she want to study further? What does she want to be? And she said, I want to do geography. And I asked her why, and she was so beautifully able to articulate that geography, because she relates to the land so well, she relates to the weather so well, she relates to the trees so well, she relates to the stars and the sky so well, and the rivers. And it filled me with so much hope that this girl knew what she wanted to be, what she wanted, and she knew why she wanted to do that. I don't know how many of us were able to articulate so well on what we want to be and what we want to do in life. And it got me thinking about, if Sumari or some another Sumari was to talk like that about architecture and say that I want to be a designer because I understand spaces, I understand my people's lifestyle, I understand the way they eat, the way they live, the way they cook, the way they sleep, the way they relate to each other, how they need each other, how they are as a community. It would be so beautiful to have something like that happen. And I have been speaking to many youngsters and many parents along the way, but it's a very small, I'm just doing one stretch a day, so it's really a very small attempt. But the objective of this walk is to be that catalyst for something larger that could happen. Maybe many of us start talking to many more Sumaris like this in different, places, and start telling them what our field is. Um, I've also spoken to the Council of Architecture and Indian Institute of Architects to see if this can actually become a huge communication blitz, where we take it to different locations, where we probably have some fun mascots who go and talk about it, through visually at least. It can really change things big time for our country. I think it's important before before it's a little too late. I think there's lots that's to be still done in these places, and that's something that's gives me great hope. Um, We've also been visiting places like Deep Shikha, which is an NGO that works with physically challenged. So to bring the focus on the importance of building in the need to understand and include everybody uh, in everything
Accessibility
that we design,
factors.
in everything that we design,
Mhm.
and making that part of our design persona, way of doing things, our curriculum, and see how, very often we say we've done a ramp or we've given a lift and we've ticked off a checkbox, but that's not what
Yeah.
we're talking about when you're saying designing for all. It needs a
Mm.
lot more. So we've had conversations on that to see how. I mean, not again. It's just explorations along the way. We're talking about. Uh, um, we spoke to a bunch of through Mallabhum Prayas, an NGO. We spoke to a community, tribal community in Bishnupur again, and again the welcome I got, the love I got when I visited the place, with no expectations. They don't know who I am, why I'm coming there, what I'm going to give them, but completely. So, and then we sat together and ate mudi and ghugni. So it does give you, and then at the end of it, while you're seeing on social media a lot of posts, it makes you think that oh wow, what a campaign. But at the same time, it gives me a lot of restlessness and cause for some sleepless nights on where is this going from here. Yeah, I'm collecting information, but it's still not doing enough. So what do I do with my experiences? So a lot of ruminations on that, on how we can make a few projects happen, how I can involve some architects, some youngsters, some students. I'm thinking of fellowships where young architects can go and work in some of these locations. So yes, it's been a crazy journey, yes, so far, and another
So
40 days at least. Yeah,
another 40 days to go, right?
at least. No, this was to be a 60 to 75-day journey. We are on the 23rd day.
24.
So at the lowest, it will be 63, 64 days, but it seems a little hard just now. I think it might take up to 70, 72 days or so. So maybe Delhi will see me around April 22nd or April 22nd or so. Yeah.
So,
Because
so we'll be
24th,
there to
April
welcome
24th,
you.
being a Sunday, April 24th being a Sunday is what I'm
Okay.
looking at. Yeah.
So I think
So
my
I've
mom,
completed 600 plus kilometers today. That
hmm,
was,
600
and
plus.
I can't believe, I sit back and I say, did I really do that? And yes,
Yes, you're doing
600
it.
and yeah, 616 or something like that. I don't remember the exact number. But it's soon going to come down. The remaining kilometers are going to come down below 1,000, and that will be a psychological relief as well.
Hmm.
Have been other challenges on the physical front, getting your body getting used to so much
Hmm.
of. I've done running. I've been active. When I used to come for the Wade
Mm-hmm.
also, Wade
Yes.
initiatives, I used to go out and do
Mm.
my runs. But it's nothing. This is completely at a different level. Being
Mm.
able to get up day after day after day, and wake up on different beds in not knowing where you're going to sleep the next night, what kind of a place is. We've all been used to a certain amount of luxury, so not knowing where and what kind of a place you're going to get, living out of a suitcase, not having near and dear ones close to you on a daily basis to give out a hug or.
Mm.
My husband will be joining me soon. Another 15 days, I think he'll be with me for 2 weeks. He's going to try to walk every day with me as well. But there will be a car that he can get into if he needs to.
Mm.
Um, Yeah, and one challenge has always been finding restrooms. There were so many who said the petrol bunks have them, and yes, the petrol bunks have reasonably clean loos that you can use, but there have been stretches of 30 kilometers with no petrol bunk. I have used all kinds of places. I have done what many villagers do, go into the fields. I've actually had to do that. I've had to use abandoned sites and different places. But the team is there to help me stand over and watch. But it's still not easy. Whoever is there, it's not easy going out and saying, okay, I don't mind going behind the trees there, just stand watch and I'll come back. But yeah, so those are problems I think which also tell you the state of our countryside as well.
Yes.
You know, that means there are stretches of villages which do not have toilets. But there are places. I mean, I have been fairly enthused by uh, people, by the way they live. I think there is a lot of, uh, at least on the route that I have taken, I have not been so disheartened, and it's not as dismal. There are stretches which are bad, like I said, but largely, if I've asked so many girls, even at the NGO that I went to in Chandwa, yes, there was a village a place in Chandwa where these girls are undergoing training for nursing. And I asked them, how many of them have toilets that they use, and everybody said they're not all from Chandwa and around Chandwa, but they are from villages in Jharkhand, and everybody said they do have toilets and they do use them fairly emphatically. So it's not all worrisome, but yes, it does give you a feel of what taking on something like this is.
Mhm. So, how is the food? Like, how are you managing food?
So breakfast is completely on the go, Vartika, because it's about 6 hours of walking, inclusive of the breaks. So I largely survive on 1.5 peanut butter sandwiches, which I make for myself and carry. I have nuts, dry fruits. I have cereal bars, not cereal bars. I have energy bars, and I
Okay.
have a lot of hydration. I have so by 11:30 I've really filled myself with so much. Like I have had half an energy bar, some nuts, some fruits, this sandwich. I've had a lot of hydration fluid and about 300 400 ml of protein shake, and sometimes nariyal pani and all that also. So it's really because that's what I need at
Mhm.
that point. And then of course bananas. So I start my day at 4:45 or 5 o'clock or so with a banana. So and then maybe one more banana happens. So that's breakfast. So it's not very exciting at all. And I don't think I'll eat peanut butter sandwiches after this thing is over for at least a year. I used to love peanut butter, and now I'm getting to a point where I just can't. I'm just doing it like, okay, it's something that has to be done, and one is doing it. By lunch, we kind of either converge at a dhaba. I mean, all of us just go to a dhaba before we reach our accommodation, or we call the accommodation beforehand and tell them. Some places we've stayed in guest houses, Forest Guest House. Through some friends, I've managed certain guest houses, or it's the best hotel that you can find, the best lodge that you can find there. We call them beforehand and tell them ki dal, sabzi, roti bana do, and that's what I've been having for lunch and for dinner pretty much every day.
Okay.
It's And in some places like Gadwa is we do manage to get a little bit of Chinese and things like that. So
Okay.
so some days it's
Sometimes.
indulgence time. Yeah, some days it's indulgence time. I'm carrying a whole lot of stuff in case I'm in trouble. I should be able to just put hot water in and eat some of those things. So I'm carrying some of that stuff. But you need nutrition, so we just call in and tell them lots of dal and some good one sabzi, good quantity of it, and that's basically what we've been eating.
Awesome.
To sample local cuisine, like you can't come to Jharkhand and not have uh, litti
The
choka.
local
So we've
food.
done that, and then the IA Jharkhand at Asha organized for some other very local delicacies like pua and dal badas and something called dhuska, I think they call it.
Oh,
It's rice and dal ke puris.
Okay.
So yeah, so
So you remember
tried,
them.
tried local
Awesome.
cuisine.
So how is the way forward from here? Where are you going to stop, and what are the events that are already planned?
So the route to Delhi, the shortest route to Delhi would have been about 1468 kilometers via UP. The original plan had been made through actually Amethi and Varanasi. I said, let me try and go to, and Ayodhya as well. But elections came about, and I said I didn't want to get stuck somewhere in the midst of that. Although day after the election results are out, and I still could have done the UP stretch, but by then we didn't know the dates when we planned the route. So I decided to go via MP, which meant uh, sometimes I think, oh my God, why did I do it? But 250 kilometers more of traveling because of going via MP, because it's actually a complete detour. So getting into MP day after, we are touching only UP at two points, which is Renukut, Jhansi, and then ahead near Delhi, Faridabad, and Mathura. Mathura I'm going to, so I'm looking forward to Mathura as well. In MP, it's going to be, I think, rather picturesque. All places that I wanted to go. We're starting with Singrauli. I've lined up an interaction with the NTPC workers there or employees there. We'll have a session with them. Then we are going, and Renukut also. Tomorrow I'm having a session with the Lions Club. There's something that's been organized, I think. And then from Singrauli, we move on to Reva, Siddhi, Reva. In fact, Siddhi is where we're going to be for Holi, trying to arrange a little session with the school and teachers there. And then Reva, I mean, Madhya Pradesh also is going to get actively involved, hopefully, on this route. So I'm waiting for things to be planned with them. Then we go to Gwalior, Orchha, and the school I studied in, St. Mary's School in Delhi, has a school that they are working with in Orchha. So the principal is very excited about me coming to Orchha, and she'll probably join me there, and we'll do some things in Orchha. Then, like I said, Jhansi. We are not, the route does not take us to Bharatpur, but I'm planning a little detour. We are going via Rajasthan. So Achnera ke paas se maybe we'll just go across to Bharatpur and stay the night there or something like that, because Rajasthan is
You
also very
wanted to.
close to me, and yeah, I'd like to see if I can
Hmm.
engage with them. So, but that's a long way off, Vartika. I mean,
Yeah.
there's about 700 kilometers to go through MP.
Hmm.
And if I'm done there, then I'm in Delhi. I mean, फिर दिल्ली दूर नहीं
Almost.
है. A lot of people say दिल्ली दूर नहीं. मैंने कहा नहीं नहीं, मुझे मालूम है कितनी दूर है.
कितना
काफी
दूर
दूर
है?
है अभी. So yes, that's the
Wonderful.
route. Yeah.
So what I want to tell you is that I know you're thinking a lot, okay, what it will bring and all, but I can see, and we all can see that this is so impactful. And I know how much you are documenting. I'm more than sure with the kind of the planning that you have. I'm more than sure, like, these stories that you are going to bring is going to create very, very big impact, not only in these places, but in the way that people look at architecture and design as a whole. So I'm more than
I
sure,
hope.
and our best wishes from Vidisha and Surface Report are there.
Thanks, Vartika. Thank you for
We'll
your
be
confidence
welcoming
and
you like
faith, and
anything on 24th or 22nd April, whenever you are
we'll
here.
let you know the
So
date. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Jate Jate,
forward.
I want that you should give a message, for the architecture community as a whole. What is your message for them? And also a message for Vidisha.
Yeah, so I think, like I've already said, there are many architects who are doing a lot of good work. Please go and showcase it to people who are not from our community, not from our fraternity. Let's take it out there. Let people know more about what we do. Then they start asking us questions on how we can help them further. And so, hence, for sure, showcase. I'd love it if you can join hands with us. There are a lot of ways in which you can join hands. Head out to walkforarcause.com. Arcause is actually Architects for a Cause and for the cause of architects. It works both ways. So if some of you can head out there and offer your support wherever possible, and particularly after the work is over, when I'm conceptualizing projects and all, I'd really
Hmm.
love to have your support there. So yes, and if there's anything that you'd like to, and this goes for Wade as well, if there's anything that specific that you'd like there is another 2/3 of the walk close to left. So if there's anything you'd like me to explore on and I'm missing out on something, please come forward and let us know and we'll see how we can take that up. We've asked architects to engage more with their construction workers. And I find while we were looking for 2 construction workers to flag off my walk in Calcutta, we found that there is a little bit of a barrier. It's largely they know the contractor, but they don't know the construction worker. And these construction workers are the ones who would probably take your message back to the smaller towns and rural side. So maybe it's important for them to know that um, the architect is fairly important in the project and it's not the Raj Mistri and the contractor, and only we can give that message. We've asked for images or photographs or stories of your engagement with construction workers. We've asked for you playing Holi with your construction workers, maybe not on Holi Day because you may want to be with family, but maybe a day before, 2 days before. Take some pictures and send it to us, and that'll help build that relationship. It's sad if the construction worker doesn't know that there is an architect, somebody called an architect, and it's sad if the construction worker doesn't know what he or she is building. Very often I've asked so many construction workers, ban kya raha hai? And they don't seem to know what is being built there. So I think it's important for them to feel pride in the project and for them to give their best to the project. I think it's important for them to be more involved. So that's a little message that I have for all our architects.
Yeah. Amazing message. So
and
all the best
as far
to
as
you.
Wade goes, I'll only be happy if you can spread these messages more through your
because Wade is happening this year and definitely it's going to be much bigger, and it's going to happen from 2nd to 4th of September in Delhi. And definitely let's plan something, whatever you're doing, if you can do an extension of this, I will talk to you about it.
Sure, look forward to that.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
Wade
Vertica.
Asia and Offices Reporter. Looking forward to meeting you in Delhi.
Look forward to. Yes.
Thank you.
That'll be the day. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.